Hi, this is Abul Hussain coming to you direct from London, the United Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of the SMMA Mastermind podcast. Now, if you are watching this interview outside of our Facebook group for social media marketing agencies, make sure to find the link above or below this video, or go to smma-mastermind.com and join us there, especially if you're looking to start or scale a digital marketing agency. Now, with that out of the way, I have a very special guest joining me all the way from Springfield, Missouri in the US. His name is Steven Derevencha, and he is a marketing consultant. And today he is going to talk to us about how you can build great relationships with your clients so that they stay loyal to you. Steven, welcome to the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with me and kind of pick my brain. So thank you so much for reaching out.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, because obviously it's a two-way commitment. So, and you are the expert guest, and hopefully, you're going to be delivering more value than I will. So for the people who are watching this, who don't know who you are, why don't you give a bit of a background and introduction into how you got into the digital marketing, into the marketing space?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm actually originally from Los Angeles, California on the West Coast. Moved to Springfield, Missouri in 2011 to go pursue a career in business administration. And during my time there, I kind of realized I wasn't really into the entire administrative portion of running a business. I wanted to be that one that was helping clients achieve new goals and generate new leads and revenue and create content for them. So I had actually left school in 2014 and began working for Enterprise Holdings, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which is the largest purchaser and seller of vehicles worldwide. Phenomenal company. Everyone that I talked to that when I first started getting on with them, they said, you have just landed into the best field you could ever get into. They're going to teach you everything you need to know about everything business. And it's a rigorous program that they have there. I loved Enterprise and I loved working with them. And in my time there, I started realizing that the more trust and time I spent with my clients, the more they'd start coming back. And it was really exciting to see that progression of relationships with clients begin. After my time with Enterprise, I was recruited by Cintas, which is the largest facility services company in North America, another Fortune 500 company out here, and learned some great relationship building tools from them as well, and realized that I was building up this great network of people that I was helping market to a broader audience that they had before. I was bringing some insight that they hadn't noticed before, and I realized, okay, I need to actually step into marketing. When the pandemic hit, unfortunately, I was let go by Cintas, like so many people here in the US had lost jobs. And started working and honing a craft of being able to garner relationships. And I started consulting individually for organizations around the area and saying, hey, I might not be able to do all the content for you, but I can provide you resources that can help you. I might not be able to do all the work that you need, but I know people that are well equipped to do that. Let me get you in contact, and started doing some independent consulting. Well, right after the pandemic hit here in the United States, I reached out to the owner of the organization I work for now, 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗱𝗶, and I asked him, do you have anything open? Is there any way I can join your team? Because I keep hearing great, amazing things. And he goes, no, I don't have anything right now, but call me later. I said, okay. A week later, he goes, no, I meant later. Like, call me way later. I was like, oh, okay. 2 weeks later, I sent him a LinkedIn message. A couple weeks later, I sent him an email. I kept sending him stuff, sending him stuff. And finally, after 4 months, I called him. I said, hey, if you've got a position open, I'd like to fill it. And he goes, I just opened one today. Go ahead and throw your application in. And I started with the digital marketing directly. Since then, it sounds a little overkill, but I've earned 11 certifications from SEMrush, from Google, from Facebook. I've just been diving headfirst into figuring out how I can help my clients and prospective clients achieve goals and dreams. So that's a little bit of the background on me. I know it's a little more than a 2-minute elevator pitch, but that's kind of the background to get around for me.
No, it's absolutely great. And I love it how you have spent this time during the pandemic quite productively, because a lot of people who might be working from home or who have been laid off, they'd be sitting around and, you have essentially chased someone down, got a job with them, have got 11 certifications. That is absolutely amazing. And I suppose it's a testament to your character. And I think, you are a great candidate to talk to us about building great relationships with prospective clients. So I suppose first question for you is, where do people go wrong? Whether it's entrepreneurs, account managers, account directors, when they're trying to build a relationship or even to maintain a relationship with existing clients?
They either don't or stop listening to those prospects and those clients. Rule number one is be quiet. I mean, in sales and marketing, it's be quiet and let your prospect or your client speak. So many times you have people who just want to say, hey, I can do this and this and this and this and this. If I went to a prospect right now and said, hey, I have these 11 certifications and this is all this means and this is what I can do for you, they'd look at me most likely with a blank look on their face and go, I'm sorry, who are you and what do you do? It can be a bit overwhelming when you stop listening and just begin talking and not listening to what their needs are. A lot of people just go wrong doing that. And this isn't just for business. This is relationships outside of work, outside of professional life. The more you listen, the more people trust you, the more that you can actually start pouring into their lives after you've allowed to listen if you've allowed yourself to listen to what they need. It's incredibly important to make sure that you are able to communicate and hear what they're saying, not just listen, but hear what they're saying, take it in and absorb it.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose it's a lot trickier when you are underperforming or under-delivering as a marketing agency, as a digital marketing agency. How do you, I suppose, keep them on board when you probably don't want to speak to them?
Yeah. It can be tricky, especially if you're underperforming or your agency's not doing well, and especially like now with the pandemic, how many people have tried to scale back their marketing budgets, and you try to go out there and save it and grab onto it. You seem like you need a rush when you feel like you're underperforming. You need to do extra and more, and you lose the quality of the work that you're doing almost. If you're able to keep the quality of what you're doing up and keep at a regular pace, things will catch back up with you. You're going to be able to actually communicate effectively instead of just trying to throw a million things on their plate and try to get your client or your prospect to buy Google Ads and SEO and a new website and dev and hosting. It doesn't make sense to overwhelm them because you're falling behind. Pull back a little bit, reassess your situation, reassess your strategy, find out what's worked in the past and what has worked is no longer working, and adjust it. Change your course. It can be completely overwhelming to do that, but if you take 24, 48, 72 hours to just stop, reassess, reevaluate, and go back to the client with a fresh and exciting attitude about what you can do to fix their problems, most likely they're going to be willing to have you sit at the table and listen to what you're going to say.
And I suppose, how often should you be communicating with your client? Is this something that should be done weekly, daily, monthly? I mean, what does a great relationship look like?
I'll use this as an example. My best friend lives in Louisiana, 10 hours south of me. We have built such a great relationship over the past decade. If I missed a month or two of not calling him, I could call him, we wouldn't skip a beat. It just depends on the relationship that you fostered and created with that client or that prospect. Now, if they're on the hook and you know that, hey, they're ready to sign and join your guys' team and become a partner with you, I wouldn't say skip 2 months of conversations. I'd say, hey, every week go and talk to them. But if you have a client and you're saying, okay, I need to garner or I need to create a relationship that's effective with them, at the beginning, every week, every other week would be great. But once that relationship is grown, you can just reach out once a month and say, hey, is there anything you need? Are we still meeting and exceeding your expectations? Can I help you with anything else? Find a way that you can communicate with them that's not overbearing, but still shows them that you're caring and concerning. And every relationship is going to be different. I have clients that I need to talk to every week because they're like, hey, what's the progress on this? What do my analytics look like? What do my stats look like? And my pulling conversions, what's my PCP look like? I'm sorry, CPC, my cost per conversion. What do those look like? And sometimes you need to just work on these relationships a little more. And eventually they'll start slowing down and say, okay, I trust this person to do the work. And then you have others, and I've had a couple of these clients that are saying, I trust you to do the work. I know I've seen your resume and I've seen your guys' portfolio. I know you do incredible work. Check in with me in a month or 2 months and we'll talk then. But it just depends on the relationship and how well you can foster it at the beginning.
Okay, and for a lot of businesses and agencies, when a client dumps them, when a client leaves them, often it obviously feels like a truck going through a brick wall because they don't see it coming. So how can someone spot the symptoms that a relationship is not working and they are in danger of potentially losing a client?
That is an amazing question. Every client, like I just said, is going to be different. But the more you know them, the more you'll see when something's wrong. It's like, again, like a friend. You know, hey, something's off about them. I'll give them a little space and see what's going on. But then you follow up, you talk to them. It can hurt when a client leaves. We had in Springfield plenty of people that wanted to scale back or even leave completely because of this pandemic that came by. And we knew it was no fault of ours, no offense of ours that was hurting us or hurting them even. We just realized that there were problems going on around our world that we couldn't control, and so we had to be sensitive and empathetic to that. But when it's someone, let's say outside this COVID-19 disaster that's happening everywhere right now, and they just decide, you know what, I'm done with you, I'm over. Something went wrong on your end that you didn't pay attention to. No one's just going to walk up and leave if you're doing your job right, if you're helping them, if you're consulting for them consistently, if you're finding a way to actually communicate with them in an effective way, they're not going to leave. Now, someone might approach them and say, hey, I can offer you 25% less on our management fees or our SEO, but we can drop your SEO budget from $1,500 to $500 or $15,000 to $5,000. And that will happen eventually. Some people are only concerned about price, but the vast majority of people and most business owners are concerned about relationships, the people that they can turn to when things get hard, that can help them out in a different light and offer different advice and ways to go about it. So if you've had clients that are on the fence about dropping service and they've had that conversation, follow up, call them, say, hey, can we have you come in? Can we talk to you about this decision that you're thinking about making? I kind of want to pick your brain about what's going on. And eventually they might leave. It's not a foolproof method to bring them in. They might just say, I can't do this anymore. Thank you so much. I'm gone, and walk out the door. But oftentimes, if you can talk them through what's going on, you can either shine a light on something that they didn't have a correct understanding about, or you can clarify something that someone on your team or someone in your departments has told them that didn't jive well with them. You can clarify that as well. And those are just two small examples, but there's, again, it goes back to listening. Finding out what you can do to keep them around is ultra important.
No, they're great examples. Thank you for sharing them. So obviously it's great when you have clients and you can kind of work on nurturing and building relationships. What about people who are just starting their businesses and they haven't got clients? How can they go out, build relationships, sign up clients?
I'm not sure if you have Chamber of Commerce in the UK.
We do. I think you have them in most parts of the world.
We have them in most cities over here. Every single city here has one. And I apologize. That's a bit of ignorance on my part. I do apologize.
No, it's all good. No, you don't need to apologize. I mean, it's better to assume something. So yeah.
But find a way to network with people within your community around you. Find mentors that you can surround yourself with that'll teach you how to get out into those markets that you have. I love going to chamber meetings out here in Springfield, not just to go and network and find people to sell stuff to, but to build a relationship with business owners, to build a relationship with people who have been doing this for a long time. There's plenty of work to go around. Let's be completely real here. Things are picking up around the world right now. Businesses are reopening. New people are opening new businesses. There's plenty of work to go around. And if you can find one or two people who are mentors out here, they can, or in your area, they can help you tremendously in finding those little nuggets, those little golden nuggets that you can really go to and start fostering and building relationships with. There is, and I'll give them a shout out actually, there's a marketing agency here in Springfield called 417 Marketing. Phenomenal people out here that do great work. And their marketing director did not have a position open for me during the pandemic. I had also been talking to him, but he became a mentor of mine. He would go and sit and have coffee with me and teach me how to actually communicate with people and what people were looking for in marketing. His name's Ryan Baker. I'll throw him a shout out. I have a feeling he watches this. So if he sees this, he'll be like, why is Steven on here? No, he was phenomenal. He has a CCXP certification, which is a client experience professional certification, one that I'm working towards myself because of what he's taught me. And learning how to communicate with those folks and foster relationships with them before you start going after clients, I think is vital. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now at 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗁 if it wasn't for Ryan Baker teaching me what to do in marketing as a whole. And I had experience with marketing at Enterprise and at Cintas, getting to talk to people and learn how to communicate with them. But he elevated me to a new level to be able to learn, okay, this is how I go after new businesses. This is how I go after existing businesses. This is how I, since I have 0 people in my book of business, build one slowly and gradually start getting the trust of people around me to have them want to work with me.
And that's an awesome piece of advice that you've given there. That is to find mentors who can essentially coach you, because often people can be quite apprehensive about whether people would want to help them or coach them for free in this world this digital age where everyone's selling a course and there's so many courses to learn from. You know, people often forget that, you know, someone who's quite successful is often looking for their next protege. So
yeah,
if you don't ask, you don't get. Now, I feel that often what happens, you know, when you are trying to maintain a relationship is obviously there is a barrier to communication, which I find with digital people. That is, when they try to speak to non-digital people, you know, things get lost in translation. So when you are kind of working on a relationship, how do you communicate with people who might not be at your level of digital understanding?
Great question. This is actually a question I love answering about digital marketing. The average person is going to have an idea of how I feel like the internet works. That there are Google ads, that there are shopping ads. They'll see ads pop up on their screen, but they won't know the ins and outs of them. And that is your responsibility to educate them about that. That's how the discovery process works, is you find out what they need and then you tell them that your solution. That being said, this is where I feel like getting those certifications helped me out. Were they necessary to get 11 certifications on Google, HubSpot? I'm sorry, yeah, HubSpot as well. Goodness, I can't remember the last one I got. Anyway, it wasn't necessary for me to get all 11 of those. I could have learned them from the people at my organization, but instead I took time out of my evenings when I got home, and instead of just relaxing and finding something else to do, I got educated. I figured out how inbound marketing works, how email automation and A/B testing work. I figured out how Google Ads, we can do it better, how we can work alongside our clients to reach their goals without having to spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. But I can't just go with all that information straight to a client or a prospect and say, this is everything I know, and just vomit information out on them. They would just, again, like I said, look at you like you're crazy. You have to break it down in a way that you could explain it to, I feel like, a third grader. And that's not to say that your average client or your average prospect is dumb, but if you can explain it to a third grader, you can actually start building on that. And they say, okay, well, what about A/B testing? Okay, awesome. So they know about the Google Ads. I explained that to them and they want to know about testing. I can go take it to the next level. I can take it to an 8th grade level. And then I can take it to a 12th grade level. And then I can go to a university level. And then if they've really got that experience and they know what they're talking about, I'm talking to the director of digital marketing at a business here, I can just say, okay, this is exactly how the A/B testing works, and this is the system that we put in place, and this is how the inbound marketing works. But you have to be able to segment your knowledge. How do I explain it to someone who has no idea? How do I explain it to an intermediate user? And how do I explain it to an expert? There is actually a couple great YouTube series that if you type in beginning, intermediate, and expert analysis, you can actually see how people who are experts do this. And it's great watching. There's one of an astronaut who is teaching a kindergartner how orbit works. And then they're teaching a physicist how orbit works. And they have a detailed discussion, but at every stage, they're so proficient at their knowledge, they're so proficient at what they know how to do, that they can break it down in its simplest forms and its most complex form. And you have to get there yourself. If you don't, your client's going to just stare at you and go, everything either just went over my head, or you have no idea what you're talking about. So that's how I've, in the past couple years, have gone about doing anything where I have to explain to someone. I get the knowledge and I tailor it to them to figure out, hey, what can we do to explain this to you in the best way possible.
Awesome. And that's a great example in terms of looking on YouTube to obviously see kind of how things can be broken down for different audiences, because I think that's the key there, segmenting your message, as you have pointed out. Now, what does a great onboarding experience look like for a client?
Man, it starts before the onboarding meeting. You have to bring in whoever else is going to be on that project, and you as the consultant have to work with your team prior to it. If you've got a client that needs a logo design and they need a new website and they need SEO, your team's going to walk into that onboarding meeting completely blind if you don't brief them in the best way possible. So when you're in that discovery meeting with the prospect and you're finding out all the information about them and you're taking notes, compile that. Take 20 minutes after your meeting, compile it into a tangible way that other people can read, because I know when I take notes on paper, they make sense to me. Everyone else thinks it's the Rosetta Stone and they go, what in the heck was that? So write them down, put them in a Google Doc, put them in a sheet, do something that you can help your team with, and then distribute it out to your team a couple days before. Go to your pre-onboarding meeting and talk to your team and say, okay, they want to refresh their logo. They like the color scheme that they have now, but they want to change the icon. So let's do a little bit of a rework on this and get them a couple mock-ups first. Awesome. Fonts, and go through the fonts. And then you go with your web development team. You tell them, okay, this is the functionality that they're looking for. This is the UI that they want to mimic. This is the UX that they want to achieve. You get that, and then once you get onto that onboarding meeting, you take your hands off and say, hey, I'm just here to consult on both your halves. I'm going to help my team over here understand what you need. I'm going to help my team. I'm going to help you over here decipher what the experts are talking about, and you become the middle ground. As soon as you can fight for your client and for your team at the same time, you win the trust of your team and you win the trust of the client like that. It's something that I've done a couple times. I love it because I walk out of the meetings, I go, hey, how was that? And they go, I think they're super excited. And the client will call back and say, we are so excited to see what this website or this SEO project is going to look like. Thank you for walking us through that.
Awesome. That's a brilliant strategy that you've shared. So thank you very much, for kind of being as open as possible with your answer there. I know I can sometimes fluster people with the random questions, but
no worries.
That was the perfect response to that. Now, Steven, final question for you, because we're very quickly running out of time. These things always finish faster than we ever planned to, right? You are a remarkable individual. You've gone out, you've got these 11 certifications, over this pandemic period. What is next for you?
I am incredibly excited to expand my organization. The people that run 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀 here in Springfield have such a great vision for it. We actually just rebranded from our previous name to 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗀 in January, right before everything happened. And I would almost count us fortunate and blessed that we had the reset button occur in March. A lot of people would say that's absolutely insane for you to say, but we've been able to go and hone in on our strategies. We've been able to go and hone in on the clients that stayed with us and increased budget and said, hey, you're our new case study, because you know what? The world might have collapsed, but when you kept your marketing budget up, everyone around here was looking at you because you were present for what they needed. So I'm so excited to see the next 6 months, the next year hold for us at our organization. And for me, it's just going to be growing us in any way, shape, or possible. And whether it's doing more interviews with incredible individuals like yourself, or going out there and going to chamber meetings and finding people and networking. There's a lot that can happen in 6 months to a year. We saw that in the past year, in 2020 already. So I don't know what next year's going to look like. I don't know what the next 5 years are going to look like. 5-year plans, I feel like, have just gone out the window because, well, if you would have asked me 5 years ago what I planned to do in March of 2020, it wouldn't be sitting at home looking at, screens trying to figure out how to get through a pandemic. It's going to be exciting to try to grow, to try to push us to the next level and show our organization that we're bigger than just Springfield. And we love Springfield. It's an incredible city. It's growing. It's wonderful. But we want to take over Missouri. We want to take over North America. We want to be the name in digital marketing out here. And I'm so excited to see what the partners and the directors and the entire staff at 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗀 have planned out.
Well, I totally love your passion, and you are definitely someone to keep an eye on. So hopefully in a couple of months, we can do a follow-up. And I love your whole kind of mindset in seeing this pandemic as an opportunity to reset, to reevaluate, and then kind of making changes to essentially, it's taking that one step backwards to go 2 steps forwards. On that, Steven Derevencha, thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you having me on today. I look forward to seeing this go live and seeing your next guest one there where your Facebook page goes live on that. So thank you so much.